Hello and welcome to the Wise Fools podcast. This is a podcast to bring philosophy to the masses, filtering it through some of the dumbest creatures on the planet, stand-up comedians. I am Brendan Hickey. I'm your host. I studied philosophy for several years. It was a mistake. It was a terrible mistake. But that's it. We're here now, and we have to make the best of it. So this used to be a live show, and it is a live show. You can find the live show online, and we'd love to see you there in Berlin. But now we're going to try it as a podcast just to see how it goes. So this is the first version of it. So, we'll see how it goes. All right, so here we are. Welcome our guests on the panel. I would like to introduce Mr. Ori Halevy and Mr. Dayne Brasher. Hey. All right, Ori.
Hello.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
What should I say?
How many sexual partners do you think is an appropriate amount in any one room?
In one room?
Yeah.
Well, I think it depends on how big the room is. I'd say if it's a 3-bedroom apartment, I don't think you should have more sexual partners than the rooms.
So Dayne, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you think?
Seven
tops,
sexual partners.
7. Okay.
In one room, 7 sexual partners?
Yeah. I reckon you could squeeze 7 into most rooms.
Just an example of some of the key philosophical insights we're going to discuss today.
I would say 5 is the maximum you can put in the...
So, the topic for today... Today we're going to be talking about the work of Mark Fisher. Mark Fisher is a British writer and cultural critic. And we're going to talk about his concept of hauntology.
Ooh, spooky.
And the slow...
Sorry, what was his name again?
Mark Fisher.
All right.
Mark Fisher.
It's not really much fun to be had with that. I like to make fun of the philosophers' names.
Well, I mean, given that we were just talking about fish and the bull shark. But anyway, that was off camera.
But
so it doesn't count.
hauntology doesn't sound like philosophy. It sounds like...
I haven't stopped saying things. Right. So, we're talking about hauntology and the slow cancellation. Oh, fuck, I swear to God.
That sounds
and
like
the
every
slow,
philosopher.
Shut up! And the slow cancellation of the future, where he talks about how modern life feels like it's on repeat, that culture is now nothing more than a recycled piece of shit.
But he says all of that wearing a sheet over his head like a ghost. And then,
yes.
he goes,
Oh, the future is a piece of shit.
Keep talking
Now that's a
while I
ghost
do
I would
things.
be into, you know? Instead of this lovely Casper shit, they're just like, or these haunting, like, it's just like a critiquing
it's the ghost of future. It's just...
Imagine like a ghost in your house going like, I don't like the decor. Just like a critical ghost, just haunting you with just being a dick.
Is that what you're wearing today?
I don't know why I brought them. I really don't. All right, I had a good intro. All right, we're talking about why is culture like this constant regurgitation of the same shit, you know? Like, ask yourself, ladies and gentlemen. I like to talk to the audience. Ask yourself, ladies and gentlemen, have you ever been in a situation where you've been watching a Spider-Man movie and asked yourself, how many times can they rephrase the phrase, with great power comes great responsibility? You know?
Yeah.
Like, as in, have you wondered that maybe there's a Spanish version coming up where the phrase is, con mucho queso comes muy responsabilidad.
Is that with much cheese comes much responsibility?
You gotta rejigger it. You gotta rejigger it.
You do. If you do have a lot of cheese, you do have a lot of responsibility.
I think I've heard that sentence being said in a taco place. Where with the big taco comes a lot of
Just
cheese.
philosophy.
That's,
All right.
That was pretty good.
Look at me.
By the
I'm
way,
trying not to make it look like I'm on an iPad because they told me it would look more professional if I had an iPad.
I gotta say that when I heard that sentence, like for the first time, with great power comes great responsibility, I was like, then I would not like power then, because I don't want the responsibility. You know?
It's also objectively
That's the
not
fucking point
true.
of it.
It's not true though. Like the
They're
more
not
power
supposed
you
to.
have, the less responsibility you have to have.
I guess
You know?
that's true.
What?
You heard me.
What do you mean? You got less power and then you have...
No,
No.
if you've got loads of power, and someone says, hey, you have to be responsible for something, you can be like, fuck you, I've got loads of power.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, right. No, I guess
Isn't
that's what Uncle Ben is trying to get through. It's like, I know it doesn't look like it. I know you're walking around the world fucking people up left, right, and center, and it seems like that's just the way it's going to be. But here's the twist: with great power comes great responsibility. And Peter's like, no way, I'm fucking people up, man. I mean, nobody can touch me.
Also,
but there's like a meta thing going on. We're like,
also, who the fuck is this Uncle Ben that he's got all this fucking wisdom?
All right, this is not the podcast of let's fucking spend 15 minutes going through the fucking politics.
Wise as
Shut up. All right, I got to introduce the topic. All right.
Yeah.
So, the slow cancellation of the future. All right.
Ooh.
The slow cancellation of the future. Fisher grounds his whole theory is basically based on the idea of capitalist realism, which is basically the idea that with the new neoliberal sort of all free market, whatever, we've gotten to a stage where we can't even imagine a world that isn't with capitalism, all right? Like, as in it's like essentially it's become so pervasive as the only alternative that we can't even see a horizon without it. He has a famous quote that says, it's easier to imagine the end of the world than the end of capitalism. Like, as in you can think of what the apocalypse would be, but no one can even now imagine what a life or a world without capitalism is. That's how pervasive it is.
That Fisher guy.
A Fisher guy.
Yeah, he's up there with Uncle Ben when it comes to...
He's got wisdom, that guy.
I mean, that guy.
I can imagine that him sitting in front of Peter just going, it's all fucked anyway, you know?
Capitalism, it's going to get us all in the end.
Yeah, it's just, hey, Peter, can you imagine a world without capitalism? It's like, I'm dealing with other issues, you know? I got superpowers. It's like, yeah, but you're not dealing with the real issues, man.
I can imagine a world without capitalism.
Can you imagine? What is your imagination of a world without capitalism?
Are we just doing the John Lennon song right now?
Yeah, we are. I can imagine it. I mean, I think that's where we're going anyway with all this like AI and shit. As long as they don't kill us all for no reason, it's just going to be a world where you don't have to work to receive, money and then buy commodities. You're just going to get the commodities because they're so cheap to produce that you just can access them. And then you would just either lay there or be creative in some form. I can imagine that. You don't have to buy all the time. It'll probably still be cool to go out and get some stuff because you're not going to be in your house all the time. Like, I would like a kebab.
It's like a fucking 10-year-old talking politics, isn't it?
But I can imagine that. Why can't you imagine that?
We should have like a system where like people bring their goods and exchange it, you know? Okay, so moving on from that. So basically, the reason Fisher says that the future is canceled, basically, it's a slow cancellation of the future, is that he thinks that time, like the way that we actually perceive time subjectively is through culture.
Okay.
Right? So that like we mark time by the differences in culture that take place. Like, so he gives the example of music, right? So music, you can tell where you've been because every generation has a different style of music, you know?
Yeah.
So he's saying that basically that has disappeared now, that we're in such a mishmash, a rejiggering of old system, like recycling the same old culture, that we can no longer perceive time passing as the way we would normally perceive it.
I do have a vague idea that the 2000s are painted with Britney Spears. Like, everything before that, I have like a better...
How do you paint with Britney Spears? Do you use her as a brush or as the paint?
You point her at a wall, and the wall just is painted crazy. That's just
toxic.
It's just yeah. No, but I see what you're saying, but I don't know if that's true. It's only.
Well, he gives a thought experiment, so I'll lay out the thought experiments and see what you think of it. So the thought experiment, he says, is that, all right, imagine you took. So here's this concept of a future shock, which is basically like this is what he said has gone away. Is that like the feeling of like you get a new music and it's so different that it's actually shocking to you. You're like, okay, this is a brand new thing. Like, as in going from like 70s music to pop punk. Suddenly punk comes out, or jungle music comes out. They're like, whoa, what is this? It's based on new technologies, it's based on new sounds, it's completely different. So his thought experiment he gives is, imagine you took music from the 2000s and you went back in time and showed it to someone in 1994.
Yeah.
Like their reaction, he predicts, would be actually probably like, oh, really? This is from the
sounds like-
future? Because
yeah.
this sounds a lot like what we're doing right now.
I don't think that's- if you
you
only
did the
take
exact
pop-
same thing and like, okay, took a music from 1994 and set it back to someone in 1985, you would expect them to be like, holy shit, this is like nothing at all that I've heard before.
I don't think that's true. I think that's sort of glorifying the past a little bit. Like, it depends on what music you take to whom. Like, if you take fucking 90s Nirvana to 80s Metallica, they're going to be like, yeah, I can see how crank up the distortion a little bit and be a bit more emotional with your lyrics. And
You think
get to
there's like a progression of like it's all
And
really
I-
just the same shit?
No. I think
Or
that
there's
I
like-
think that I could find music from today as well that I could take back to the 90s and people would be like, what the fuck is going on here?
All right.
I think it's like this is just it's a mindset that's pretty closed off to how much music is being made all the time.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. So this is a question he asked: is like, what do you think? What was the sound of 2005?
Yeah, again, see, it depends if you. Do you know what it actually was? There was. They started in around the like early 2000s. They started doing this. Have you heard? It's in like every song.
Oh yeah,
There's
that's
a-
true. Also,
And
they started.
it's a whole vocalization that came to exist in pop music in that time.
I think that they also.
Fucks,
That's the.
but it is a unique
There you
thing.
go, fucking Mark Fisher. All
Yeah,
right.
you dickhead.
Wait,
What's the
there's
sound of
another-
2005?
Hey, Mark Fisher. This is 2005.
Yeah, well,
also-
you can't say it to him because he actually ended up killing himself. So,
He killed himself.
That's the ultimate cancellation of the future.
He just did it to prove a point. But
it was like you should. If he'd only lived longer, he would have met you, and you would have gone, "Nah, man, it's." Like the point he's making is that if you say what's the sound of the 90s, 1995, you're like, even if you've never been there, you could picture what it is. You know, it's going to be like, oh, it's like grunge or something. You could imagine it. But if you like that, we've been in such a haze of recycling that, like you say, what's the sound of 2008? There's no distinctiveness to it. It's just
I get that, but I feel like that's more of an issue with what pop culture is, because like grunge was still the counterculture. It did become popular, but it was still like there was also fucking Britney Spears starting out in the 90s, and you know.
by the way, I just wanted to say, Fisher really killed himself?
Yeah.
Do you think that all philosophers?
No, it was just a funny joke.
It is pretty funny. It is pretty funny. I mean, at this funeral, people
It's not
could.
pretty funny. I
It's
mean, there
pretty
is
funny.
a context in which you might find humor in
There's
it.
gotta be
But
like a bunch of
I wouldn't have
people-
said as a general fact it's pretty funny.
There's got to be a bunch of people there that were at his funeral going like, this makes sense. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, but do you think like philosophers kind of
Someone reading the book and like, oh, I get it. Oh, I see. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
maybe philosophers are influenced by their mood? You know, maybe Plato lived in a cave or some shit. You know what I mean? Like, maybe the philosophy that they create has to do with how they're feeling. Because the future is canceled. There's nothing good coming out anymore.
Yeah.
I can see that guy killing himself. You know, what
He's
I
just
mean?
sick of scrolling through YouTube.
Yeah, he's just, I hate
I'm gonna write a book
capitalism.
about
Like, you know what I mean?
Well, that's definitely true. Like, as in philosophers think the things that they write down and say.
Yeah.
It's not just like, I'm just doing this for the clicks. I don't believe it. Like, as in they're like writing down their theory of what they think is actually happening.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be all mood based, right?
Yeah.
You'd want to reconsider your ideas from a different
Well, interesting. Like, that's the
perspective.
thing about Fisher is like he's talking about a mood. He's not talking about specifically concrete. He's saying this is the kind of geist of our era. Like, as in it's sort of, even if it's true or not, it's like this is the psychological place we're in. We're in a place where we can't project to the future. So it's part of, like, he's tying it to depression and things like that. A lot of the medical conditions that are going on. Would you stop?
He's a very sad man, isn't he?
I think it has to do with depression
I swear
and
to
knives.
God. All right. All right. Okay. So why is this happening? All right.
Okay.
His explanation for why. Well, he thinks the main driver of it, this would be interesting for us, I thought, is that the hyper commodification of art. All right. So he's kind of like a political theorist. He's saying that like when social democracy finished, like he's kind of focused on the English example, but that social democracy finished. So basically indirect funding for art stopped. All right. And so basically that meant
What's
that
indirect?
as in like now it's only like you're choosing your art based on its ability to make money now purely, like as in a lot back in England in those days there was a lot of programs for like art school you could be paid for and stuff. So it kind of, at social housing was more of a thing. So you'd like artists would have more of a space to sort of explore new innovations. Whereas now, because you need to make money out of it, it's the reason you recycle culture, because, or artists choose to recycle culture, is because innovation like has a longer payoff cycle, right? So like you with a recycled type of culture or art, the time from when you do it to when you're going to get a payoff from it is shorter, so you have to choose it because there's such financial pressure on you to do it. So it's basically is like idea that like this is not directly, but sort of it's changing the atmosphere of how artists think, as in they're purely thinking in terms of capital now. And I feel like we kind of all feel that a bit. That like you lost so much of comedy now, even stuff that in my brain, I'm like, will I do that? And it's like, is it going to get there in time? Am I going to do the weird thing, or am I going to do the,
but then you would think
I'll
the
get a
rich,
gig out of it thing,
Then you would think the rich would have some original ideas. But,
That's what I was going to say. There's always going to be artists, like there have always been and will always be artists that are supported by somebody.
But sure,
with money.
don't you feel like, as in, he also talks about how art is getting stratified now. Don't you see that in comedy as well? Like, as in, it's all middle class kids who are like getting ahead, basically. Like, sure, the whole entire fucking roster in America, they all had rich parents. Like,
yeah, but
that's always been the case, hasn't it? It's very hard as a working class person to make it in
well, I
entertainment.
think the argument he's saying is why you had such explosions of culture from England is like it wasn't back then. Like there was like he talks about how like there's a change in the psychology in terms of like back then art was kind of, there was sort of a sense of it as a sublime thing. It was sort of something that was sort of divorced from its ability to create capital, something beautiful in itself, like something beautiful for itself. But that's sort of, he's saying that sort of geist has kind of changed now.
Yeah, maybe it's changed with the Industrial Revolution, like basically, because I think once
he's saying to him it's from like the 1970s onward in England.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
English-focused.
it's probably affects once you have a path to success. Then that's that's when it will heavily affect you, because it has to do with your sense of security. But I also think it has just to do with a sense of wanting to be accepted, which is why you have the Kardashian. Like I don't think that rich artists, for example, are better than poor artists. But I do think that everybody's affected by Instagram and by what's happening now on TikTok. And if it starts from the 70s, you got all these bands that are really original, and then they made great albums, and then other people are like, oh, I wanna be signed. I want an album deal. I wanna be signed by a big label and stuff like that. And then they start imitating themselves. They're like each other. So I guess there is something to that. It's hard to get away from what a thing already is and find your own voice within it, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know if that's necessarily a new thing, though. I don't know. I feel like there's always been a lot of shit art and some good art.
Yeah.
I feel like
think
there's
that's still
more
the case
shit
now. It's just that now we sort of, for some reason, glorify the shit art.
Yeah, but that is the thing. I feel like that is even in our own scene. You're kind of more and more looking at like what you know is shit, but it's commodifiable, and like even there's like a sort of a vibe in the group of like, well, fuck it, you know what, it's pretty, fair play to him, and kind of like, and it almost change. We say it enough times that it almost, you just like have to shake out of it and go like, but it is shit. You're like, what's happening?
That's
like,
true.
It's like it becomes this sort of like, as in to him, it's like what Fisher's talking about is like, it's not so much the direct change, it's the change in this atmosphere that sort of like you don't even notice your psychology has changed. Like, as in, I think that's what he calls it, the slow cancellation. Is that like it's gradual, it builds up slowly around you. It's not like it's not that art dies; it sort of withers. So it's sort of like it is this sort of like these moments of like, the fuck.
Every time you say cancellation, I just hear like American white women going, "Future, you're canceled."
Cancelled.
I'm just getting slow.
Future.
The future is fucking
We're just gonna cancel
problematic.
All right, this is another one.
Wait,
okay.
but I wanted to say that like, it's not only has to do with comedy. Like even this whole like 6-7 thing, which is now like insanely. It's just, what is that? That's just a fucking.
I think it's to get exactly that reaction.
I know,
That's what I think.
But I get it from a very kind of visceral kind of like, he just did a stupid thing and everybody's now doing it because we want to have a thing that we can all do. But it's just that, is that art then? Is that like, maybe that is a good thing. Maybe that is like a.
I think if you brought that example to Fisher as like, how does this fit into your theory? I think he'd be like, no, that's just That's not no. But that's what art? No, it's just some dumb kid.
No, I
going,
think if you brought it to this Fisher, he'd be like 6, 7.
Yeah. He'd be like, I fucking love that.
I love that. And then maybe he wouldn't have killed himself.
That is how we're going to avoid the cancellation.
I predict the day they showed that to him, he was like, you know what? Fuck it. You're not listening.
And people
You're
are
not
like,
listening.
people are
Some
like,
kid was like, hey, how many bullets have you got in that gun?
All right, okay. You want to move on to the next thing?
yes, please.
Yeah.
All right, this one's kind of interesting. He kind of says that like
Cancel the future.
one of the symptoms of it is sort of futuristic now for us is sort of a style. It's not a projection into the future. It's not an open horizon of possibility. When we say futuristic or when we imagine futuristic, it's sort of like what he calls like essentially we're putting a font on something. So what we're doing really is like we're going back to what other people imagined the future would be, and then we're sort of putting that on top of things, like onto as a shell almost.
Sounds to me like Fisher just didn't have much of an imagination.
Could have been.
He was sitting in his room like, I can't imagine the futures, and no one cared.
Let me ask you this.
Well, so a good example of that is like Fallout. Did you ever play the Fallout game?
No, I saw the
familiar
series.
with it.
There's a series.
Oh, you watched the series as
that
well.
woman is very
That's
attractive.
like that's the important thing. That's what that series is trying to say. That's the message of Fallout.
Yeah,
is like
look how
that's a
attractive
pretty
this woman is,
lady.
despite the nuclear situation. She's very nice to look at.
Let me ask
But
you.
that aesthetic is from a 50s show that was
Okay.
imagining the future, right? And they kind of took that on. So like, what he's saying is like even our dystopian things are not our projection of the future, what we think the future is going to be. There's a past generation's projection of the future that we now use as futuristic. So it becomes like the sort of
I
this.
disagree entirely with that.
Okay, what do you
I think
like?
there's
What,
loads of future depictions that are fairly new. The thing is that
what do you think is like us projecting the future?
Star Wars?
Star Wars,
Star
yeah,
Trek.
yeah.
Star Trek. Actually, Star Trek.
Squid
The new
Games?
Star Trekky.
The new stuff, but the new shit is like I think is a prime example of what he's talking about. It's like an old shell put on new stuff. Like it's all super progressive.
I like the
and,
mycelium
But it is sort
network
of the
thing.
thing is that those stories are still relevant. Like the sort of like Big Brother, what's it called? 1984 gets retold again and again, but it keeps being irrelevant.
Well, 1984, I suppose, is more like because that's kind of happening. I
Yeah, but you're
suppose.
literally.
But I guess so. Like what hauntology is basically, let's get to the key. Is sort of so basically it's the idea he borrowed from Derrida, which is basically the idea that you're haunted or we're haunted by futures that never happened. Right, so like as in the futures that were promised to us that never actually came to be, like as in at a political level, that's sort of like the promises of social democracy, that there would be cheap housing for everybody and that there would be these unions and protections, and then they all like didn't come to be. So now we're a generation that sort of
Hoverboards.
and hoverboards,
hoverboards.
flying cars, like as in that's a classic example of like it's still in the where you were futuristic, you put flying cars in it, it's like, but they never happened, and that's not what we now know the future is likely to be, like, you know.
And therefore, we now, like, generally, you don't see futuristic stories, sci-fi, with flying cars anymore. They've got, like, weird round wheels or something. They've sort of adapted what vehicles will look like in the future based on the fact that we now know that flying cars are pretty unlikely. So that's an example of how Fisher is a fucking dickhead.
Yeah, fuck that guy, man.
I have a,
He's wrong. He's
dick.
just wrong.
I have
Just
a, I have
wrong,
a,
man.
I have a fairly clear view of the future.
It's just going to be me sitting on my couch masturbating.
That's the vision of your future.
Yeah, I think it's pretty accurate.
Do you know what's
Isn't
my
that
prime?
your present and your past?
I'm not on my couch right now. Or am I?
Ooh, philosophy. Do you know what my prime of rejiggered culture is? Call of Duty Black Ops 7. I think it's 7 now, right? So that was like, you know, but there was Call of Duty, right? And then there was a bunch of those. And then they were like, we can't do another Call of Duty. We have to call it something else. And they were like, we'll call it Black Ops, right? That'll be the second tier of that, right? And then now there's 7 of those. Like that's 2 steps removed from the original, repeated 7 times.
Yeah.
That's got to be an evidence of looping culture, isn't it?
Video games and movies in general are like, you'll see it a lot there, but I don't think like those aren't the only 2 examples of art.
just think
You don't see it so much in books. Like there's loads of original.
That's true.
Yeah, books, I
that's
suppose. Yeah,
true.
but I feel
think
like
you
that's
find some
because
music.
books are sort of almost out of the capital world now. It's almost like guaranteed. Just like, look, if you're doing this, you're not making money.
Again, though, that's where the good art always has been, is out of the capital world.
Right, but I mean, his argument is like, given the fact that it's so, our world is so commodified now that, yeah, there'll be few instances of things that somehow get out of that just because they don't sell anymore. But everything that does sell becomes the thing that everybody does, therefore.
Yeah, but then isn't that going to mean eventually that society starts looking for the sort of counterculture and for the good art that isn't as
I suppose
commodifiable, and
probably
then the whole cycle starts again with that art sort of thing?
for him not, I guess, because you can't break out of, like, as in, I guess, the potency of like the phones and stuff. Like you can't get out of the system. Like you can't. It's control. Essentially, it's controlling your mind to learn. It's like saying, why won't people break out of the 1984 situation? It's like, well, because it's endemic to the system that you wouldn't be able to.
But isn't this like, hold on, like, I just think this is like I think science has proven like multiple times that we are just, as a species, very bad at predicting the future. And any kind of creative idea is an idea. Sure, we're going to base it on things that we have. They're going to be postmodern or modern or our fears or whatever. But the future is like, nobody could have imagined, like, sure, now we have like small predictions going forward, etc. But like, if you think about the 1900s or the 1800s, nobody could have imagined that we would be in the point that we are. So, I mean, you don't know how technology will evolve. You don't know what the new ideas will be. They probably will, like repeat some of the stuff. But from his point of view, it does sound a little bit like everything's shit now. It's all the same. It just sounds like he's a guy in his 50s just going like, I should kill myself. because you don't see the new. You don't know what the new will be, and you can't know what the new will be.
But
like,
you don't find it like as in, I mean, I have to say like as in, I found it appealing because like as in, to me, he talks a lot about music, but movies is like the culture I consume, right? And there is something fucking weird going on in the movie world now, like as in the level of like, it was looping before. Now it's like, as in this classic example, this new Star Wars series where they're doing the same woke, crazy thing again, and you're like,
But Star Wars is always,
now-
like, the second one is just the
No, Star
first one
Trek.
again. All right.
the Star Trek.
But same thing, like as in, like it's got to the point where it's like, you must know this isn't working now. Like as in, you must know we're tired of it, and yet they continue on, and I'm like, what is happening? Who are you making these for? Like, as
I wonder
in,
if it's
how many
because-
times do you have to lose 200 million euros before you're like, all right, I guess they didn't want a female Hulk. I suppose. That's, I guess,
I would love to be in that meeting.
We thought we'd take this muscle-bound rage creature and put some tits in it, and people would go fucking mental. That's what we thought.
He's
but
an
apparently not.
Yeah, I wonder if the...
I find that, like, as in, it does seem to be a strange, like, we're stuck and not moving forward. Like, as in, there's not a new, like, yeah, that thing. Like, this is, like...
Yeah, I sort of struggle to imagine, like, a voice of a generation as well for now. Like, you don't... A Bob Dylan or a Kurt Cobain or... You don't have...
gonna be the
Taylor
6'7"
Swift is the
kid.
voice of our generation. Like, and I couldn't name one of her songs.
No, she is though. But she is though. You know, that's
And what
it's
is
not
her,
our generation.
what is her crowning characteristic? She's good at marketing.
I
She
guess.
says it herself. Like, as in, I'm good at commodifying. You know, it's like,
Well, maybe
that's our-
commodifying is a trend. Maybe being very good at commodifying is a trend at the end of the day. Because, us, we're like struggling comedians and stuff. But I've seen, we just had this conversation, like, most of the comics that are now successful in Europe, in Berlin, that come from Berlin, are people that had the vision of becoming very good at marketing before they were even good at comedy. Now a lot of them have gotten better. But they were like, I have to get good at commodifying before I'm even good at the art form. And then they got surrounded by so much audience that then they slowly became better. And from our point of view, maybe it's older, maybe it's we think of a time where the product has to be good before you commodify it, and then maybe the style of this era is commodifying first and value later, maybe we just can't see it because we're inside of it and we're getting angry at it because we're pissed off that it's not the stuff that we're used to.
Sure, it is getting shitter and shitter, though, isn't it? Oh, do you know what? I had heard it before and I couldn't believe it. And then Matt Damon was talking about it on the Joe Rogan
then you believed
podcast.
it.
And now I know it's true because Matt Damon speaks the truth. Yeah. Matt Damon is savior to us all.
Yeah, he's a modern prophet.
He was telling, like, as in that Netflix writes their movies now, and they ask you to write their movies. One of their writing criteria is on the assumption that people aren't really watching the movie directly, that they're on their device.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a correct assumption.
So basically... And I was watching, and I was watching his new one, The Rip, and I was like, "What is happening? Why is this so shit and strange? Like, it's got Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. It should be at least coherently written, and it's written because, basically what they do is they tell you you've got to describe the plot multiple times because people are barely paying attention. Yeah. So then I'm watching, it's like, so you're telling me to watch a movie that I am not supposed to be paying attention to, essentially. Like I said, it is a mistake for me to focus on your movie, right? It's in like, what the fucking jiggery?
You do realize that whoever is listening to this podcast is currently playing a game on their phone.
I expect your full and unfocused attention. Look
Otherwise,
at my
you're
eyes.
not being
Look at my
philosophied.
eyes.
Today we're talking about a philosopher who killed himself. That's I just reiterating.
I was watching the new season of Wednesday.
What day were you watching it?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't
it's
matter?
irrelevant.
Doesn't
They're just like
relevant?
goth girls.
No, I just.
But I was watching the new season of Wednesday, and
That's a
they do
perfect,
that so much. Like literally, this might be an exaggeration, but I'm pretty sure the scene was she's standing here looking for a specific book to progress the plot, and she goes, I'm looking for this book." She said that out loud. Where could this book be? There's so many books here.
Wow. You know what we should invest in?
In this movie,
You know what we should invest in? We should invest in old products for the deaf. Because I feel like that's exactly what it is. If nobody's watching it anyway, let's just have audio things that,
the audio
nobody needs to watch. Yeah, the descriptions of
there
things.
is a woman walking into the building.
And she is now looking for a book. This is the show Wednesday. It's just repeated again and again.
Like, there was so many moments in that movie where it was like, there was sort of, they had told us what was going to happen, and then they were still building up to the moment. Like, as in, there was like a scene where they're four in the thing, and they're like, oh, who's it going to be? And we all know it's that guy. They're trying to find out who the real killer is or whatever. And it's like, it's that guy, obviously. You're kind of telling us it's that guy. But then there's like he's like slowly taking out the phone and he dials the number. And then everyone's like, what's going to happen? You told us what was going to happen. He's the guy. We know he's the guy. And then there's like, and it takes fucking ages. And then finally the phone dials and it lights up in his face. He's like, hey, it's me. Yeah, we know. You told us 15 times.
The rest of the audience is like, wait, has he got a phone?
Where's he got a phone? What happened? Whoa. What happened? Is he the guy? It's like, what's happening? I was sorry. I was tweeting, twexting. I was twexting. So that to me is sort of, I don't know, is that a symptom of commodification or the social media thing at drag? But it's like, you're building it to be consumed rapidly and like, as in, like, that's the whole Netflix thing. It's just a stream of like, get it out and they whatever, as long as we get enough view, like, as in, there's no like sense of like, make a big artistic thing, like, you know.
Yeah, but couldn't this be just a form of?
It could not.
Couldn't
Definitely
this
not.
be?
For Mark Fisher says no.
No, like, couldn't this be just a content version of McDonald's? You know what I mean? Like, because you also have other shows like Pluribus, right? Is a great show you really have to pay attention to. And like, so maybe this is just an offshoot where a lot of people, especially young people, are consuming content that they don't really have to pay attention to, while the old slowly die with.
Is this sort of the shifting of the guard in terms of like, well, this is what people are now, and then the art will reflect that, and we're just a version, and like the people from the 1900s would have been like, Jesus, those people love to like sit in a room and stare at a screen in a way that we could never tolerate. If we weren't having our dicks sucked constantly, we basically would just not go on living.
Victorians are notorious for constantly having oral sex.
What are you talking about? You know, the smell was so bad.
That's why you had to be sucking dick. It's honestly the smell with a dick in your mouth is
Part
better.
of the fun. It's really.
You heard it here first, folks, from the 1900s.
Hey, can you smell anything?
Oh, dirty Victorians.
How are we on time?
We've got 10 more minutes.
10 more minutes. There was one other thing, but it's all a bit bleak. But we can play the games. I came up with some games we could
We can
play.
also do part 1 and part 2.
Well, another day, is it? But I'll be out of the zeitgeist then, you know.
We can,
Do you want to play the games?
let's play some
Should we
games.
try to play the games? All right, well, so, you know.
It's the game. Let's do like
I
a
was
little-
thinking, you know,
It's
'cause
the gay part.
It's the game part!
Did you say it's the gay part?
He did
He
say
did
that.
say that.
I did
That was-
not.
It's the
I
gay
did not.
part.
All right, that's.
Let's behave like we're in the 1900s. Let's do it.
It's not the gay part.
that would be a
Stop,
weird.
everybody.
I
It's not the
I
gay
wanted
part.
It to be the
Fucking,
gay
I swear to
part.
God, this is what happens. You try to bring philosophy to the masses through stand-up comedians. All right,
And
so
that's
you
gonna
know,
go
all
viral.
right. I have a game based on his thought experiment. He sends him back in time or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was thinking we could review. Like you play the role of someone from history, and then give a review from a cultural artifact from the new era.
Okay.
So, for example, say you're Neil Armstrong and you're reviewing Katy Perry's trip to space.
At least one of us actually went.
One small
Small
step for man, one giant leap for people.
I don't get it.
Because everybody who listens to Katy Perry.
Yeah.
Katy Perry sucks, by the way. She's a bad person.
But
Oh,
was
is she
in
from
space.
the 1800s? Is she?
She killed a nun.
She killed a
Are we
nun.
allowed to say that on the internet?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, she killed a nun.
She
Well,
genuinely
good
did.
for her.
But
She
indirectly.
was a young girl. She's like, one day I'm going to kill a nun. And
Yeah.
then she
Do
grew
you
up.
want to tell the
and she
story,
did it.
Dayne, in context?
She tied up. She wanted to buy some property that the nuns didn't want to leave their like monastery or something.
Okay.
And so she tied them up in legal battles for like years and years. One of them had a heart attack in the courtroom and died in the courtroom. And now there's a law named after Katy Perry that you're like not allowed to kill nuns or something.
Yeah,
And that
and
might
you're-
not be the example.
So did she
And
go,
women, there's another Katy Perry law. The women are banned from space. That's the Katy Perry ban. Okay, how about Rosa Parks reviewing Greta Thunberg?
It's problematic.
Rosa Parks. What's she doing?
Reviewing Greta Thunberg.
Reviewing Greta Thunberg.
Rosa Parks is the famously refused to sit in the back of the bus.
Yeah.
And when she got in the back, she looked forward and said, "How dare you? How dare you?
Here's what I think Rosa
Which
Parks.
was weird because she was like black and from the south, so I thought it was an odd accent to have. to be honest with you.
She was educated in Sweden, Rosa Parks.
Yeah,
a lot of
she's
people don't know
actually a
that.
classically trained opera singer. All right, how about Simone de Beauvoir?
Remind me who Simone
that?
de Beauvoir was?
She's the most famous feminist, I suppose. She wrote The Second Sex. Reviewing OnlyFans.
Reviewing OnlyFans? This is an
Would you think she'd
empowerment
make
for
it?
women
Yeah.
that want to show their feet.
At the Second Sex is a great name for an OnlyFans page as well.
I think Simone de Beauvoir, whatever her fucking name is,
Simone de Beauvoir.
she would have an OnlyFans. She'd be like, look at my hairy, 'cause she's a
Yeah,
feminist.
right, and all
She's got
French
all
hairy.
hair.
Yeah.
Natural woman over right here,
Yeah.
My body count is ulut.
Elite.
I don't care. I fuck you whoever I want and I put it on OnlyFans. Oh, oui.
Arthur C. Clarke reviewing a selfie stick.
Who is that?
He wrote 2001: A Space Odyssey and all that.
Sci-fi guy.
Sci-fi guy. Who's at the
I
door?
don't know.
Arthur C. Clarke.
No.
He's here.
He's a sci-fi guy and he's what is he reviewing?
A selfie stick.
Selfie sticks.
No,
I feel
I think we have to
Are we
stop.
Stop now.
Yeah.
Stopping.
All right.
So I would say we do a part 2. So it's like
What am I doing?
I think we should do a part 2.
Okay, guys. Okay, we've run out. We have run out of time, ladies and gentlemen. So we are going to do. I guess we're going to try and do a part 2 of this, maybe, because we've got some. I don't know if we are going to do part 2, man.
It's a fun topic, though.
It is
It
fun,
is.
but
I mean, do 2 outros. Do one where you say we're going to do a part 2, and one where you say that's all we've got time for.
that's all we've got time for, folks. Unfortunately, there's no more time. So give it up for Mark Fisher, everybody. He's dead, but congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you to my guests, Halevy
That's
and
me.
Dayne Brasher. We'll be back. That was the first Wise Fools podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. In the spirit of the theme of the show, this is art, and we immediately want to commodify it. So if you could follow us on Patreon, that would be great.
Do we have a Patreon?
No, that's why by the time we get this up, we will. All right?
Or follow us on YouTube. You can say follow.
No,
us.
this is the type of thing people support. Shut up. All right.
No, there's YouTube.
This is going to be on YouTube.
All right. And please subscribe on YouTube, please.
Just like and
Do
subscribe.
the thing. All right. You want to do the whole thing again? All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the podcast.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please subscribe to our platform and $7.
You want to keep going? You want to do this? Jesus fucking Christ.
Just
I
subscribe
swear to God.
and fucking support us on YouTube. Thank you.
You're fucking kidding me. That's so funny. That's the best ending.
And we might do a part 2. All right? We might do a fucking part 2. Hey, you. Thanks for watching our podcast. It was really good, wasn't it? We liked having you. Now, subscribe, hit the like button, and hit the bell notification to find out when the next one is coming out. Or we won't tell you. Also, if you want to see an uncensored version, you can go over to Patreon, and then you can see the uncensored thing. Yeah.